I think we'll start with East. East, is this a
Here,
truth, lie, or are we talking shenanigans?
Oh, it's most def. I think it's most definitely shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
okay.
And I want to start us off tonight with a story I saw on NPR about how thank you how the Hong Kong and Disneyland is closing again due to coronavirus, and they said that they have a spike in cases, and they consider a spike in cases in Hong Kong. I believe the article said it's a little over 1,400 cases in Hong Kong, and due to that, they're closing Disney again. Where in Florida, where coronavirus is raging across the state, um, they've decided to reopen, and they've had record amounts of cases in Florida for over the last week. So my question is, what's wrong with us as Americans? Why can't we get this together? Um,
Is there enough time in the show for this, or what?
obviously, I'm glad Avi, can you answer this question, please? What's wrong with us?
So first of all, when you talk about Disneyland, you need to talk about Disneyland Tokyo and the guidance that they gave the people coming in to visit to ride the roller coasters, which was not to scream out loud and to scream silently and within your heart. Okay, that's the first thing. Then when you talk more about, what's wrong with us, is the fact that we are not empathetic people as a whole. And what that means is that unless it hits your orbit, so think of a family member, a neighbor, somebody you work with, the postal worker, whatever, until it hits your orbit, then people actually care. And so great example is when it was hitting New York City, people started caring because, the Northeast, because they have some kind of family member or they know someone in the Northeast. Take state of Texas, care less about that. Now all of a sudden it's a flip-flopped around, and do we really care about what's happening in Florida? That's
Yeah.
where I leave it.
Lizzie?
Ooh, ooh. Again, and I'm going to piggyback off of what Avi just said for a little bit. It's Florida. Like any type of business that, starts in this country over the past few years begins in Florida. And so am I surprised? No. But it begs the question, like, what are you guys doing? Like, do we really, once we get back to normal operating practices in this country, hopefully we all live through COVID, are we going to start a movement to, like, allow Florida to secede from the union? Because at this point, it's like, what good are you guys to us? Every bit of craziness
I
comes
have some
from
friends
Florida.
in Florida.
I have
So
tons of
first
friends.
of all,
One of my good friends in New
so
York is Florida. Her parents live there as well. Her parents left for the summer to go up to New York City or go up to the New York City area, the Poconos, because they were just like, we're done with this. It's not, it's too crazy down here. I think that there is a certain level of entitlement in Florida. It's a very conservative Republican state. And so it's like we don't have to abide by the rules down here. But now that attitude is starting to, COVID them in the arse. And so, like he said, one day they had the highest number of positive cases for a single day. The next day, the highest number of deaths. It just it's endless. So I mean, I'm not going to Florida anytime soon at all. Even when I decide to leave my house.
Actually, I
so
was.
so no cruise in your future, is that what you're saying?
I know my wife
Maybe
won't let me do a cruise.
maybe in the like I've never done a cruise that left from the United States or the Caribbean here. All of the cruises that I've done have been in Europe, mostly leaving from Finland or Sweden, or Estonia. So I'll do that, because they know how to social. Well, not Sweden. They know how to social distance over there. Here,
I'm on vacation right now, so I'm good. I'm hanging out.
I we can tell.
Where you at, Neo? Where you at? Where you
I don't
at?
even know where this is. I don't know, but I'm somewhere.
So the other thing as well, and I can see the comments, is that in this country as a whole, generally speaking, is money rules, right? I mean, Texas didn't close for businesses for a reason. Florida doesn't close for a reason, and neither did Georgia. They were reopening early because they want to make money. And the fact that people are dying in the city of Houston with no beds coming, and Miami has said that most of their beds in their area are 90% capacity. And the way the governor of Mississippi talked about the herd mentality is, it might be filled, the ICU might be filled with COVID patients, but what happens to the person that's done everything right and following everything, and they have an accident? And there's no bed for that person to go into the emergency or anything else like that because everyone else is dealing with COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bigger issue. I mean, that's something nobody really talks about as well. But, money and lack of empathy, I think that pretty much sums it up. But, why Florida? Well, my take is everybody migrating down there for retirement. Old school mentality stays with them, doesn't go anywhere. It just perpetuates.
Yep.
Let's have it back in like a week.
My thoughts are along the lines of what I'm seeing from Vaughn Perry online. And he said, poor leadership is what's wrong with us. Profits over people. I mean, you think of DeSantis, Trump, all of those are just horrible leaders. So it's not surprising that those are the places where the U.S. is where it's worse. Florida is where it's at its worst. I mean, if you look at New York, it was at its worst, but that was because they had no idea what was going on. It just happened. But, they've reduced all of their hospitalizations and cases all down. But that's good leadership. DeSantis, Trump, horrible leadership.
But also another thing to consider, Neo, that Florida has a huge Latino community. People, and we know.
Which DeSantis blamed everything on, COVID on.
Exactly. He initially blamed it on Latinos, or as he probably said, Hispanics, incorrectly. But what we know is that this virus has been a huge hit on Black communities, on Latino communities. So I don't think that this is an accident. I don't think that this is a coincidence that we are taking, or that Florida at least is taking, this hands-off approach to a lot of these Latinos down there, a lot of people who are immigrants. So, I think that there is a focus here, an underlying focus here, an underlying story here about, okay, well, we don't care about these people. I mean, hello, Trump wanted to sell off Puerto Rico, a couple of months ago. So, there's no care or, idea that we need to help these people down here in Florida.
Right.
All right. Why don't you go and get the last word in before we move on?
It's unfortunate for me because that's where I went to school. That's where I went to college. I went to Florida A&M, and there's a lot of good people, despite what you see in the media. There's a lot of good people in Florida, but the overwhelming majority of them, when they vote for the leadership they have, these are the results they get. Florida man is real.
All right. All right.